I'm Jia Rastogi, and I'm so excited to be on the Online Prosperity Show. I'm the author of Class Clown to Wealth Wizard, and I have my own business with my sister. And my mission is to make financial freedom and financial literacy accessible to everyone, no matter your age, your experience, or your knowledge. And I hope you enjoy this episode because it's all about my journey, what you can learn from that journey, and the tips and tricks that I have for you. So enjoy. Thank you.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, your premier destination for exclusive insights in today's most compelling success stories. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we've got a guest whose journey is as inspiring as it is entertaining. Now, Jia, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. Well, the pleasure is all mine. As we were talking behind the scenes, I was just telling you, wasn't I saying that when I was your age, I couldn't even write my own name?
I know, it's crazy.
Fantastic. All right. Now, for those that are watching right now, I want you to imagine just being 8 years old and then being handed a paintbrush with the promise of a vanilla cupcake. And unknowingly, you step into the world of property investment. I mean, for any 8-year-old, you would have wanted that cupcake and, it ends there. But that wasn't the case for our next guest here. So Jia did just that. So from those early days of DIY renovations to now becoming an Amazon bestseller author at a ripe age of 16, Jia has transformed from, I don't know if she's the one that's the class clown, but she's now a wealth wizard, and she's going to be telling us all about it today, all balancing school, netball, and volunteering as a lifeguard. She's just let me in on a little bit of a tidbit here. Even though she's that busy and everything else, she's also still trying to get her driving license. So that's an exciting aspect of our guest today. All right. So in this episode, we're going to dive into Gia's remarkable journey, exploring her playful beginnings that then led to the passion of financial literacy and also property investment. And then we'll discuss her best-selling book, Class Clown to Wealth Wizard, and her role in Get Rare Properties and her entrepreneurial venture, Gift Hampers for You. All right. This is a very, very busy 16-year-old, and she even had time to be on the Online Prosperity Show today. So Gia's story is a testament to turning youthful curiosity into financial empowerment. And I don't think you're going to want to miss out any single beat of this. Now, Jia, obviously, we're going to be going into your life story and also a little bit of financial knowledge and everything else. But just in the interest of, the rules and everything else, could you please give us a disclaimer that comes along with the financial aspect of what you're going to talk about, and also the age statement of you being 16 and that it is your consent that you want to be on the show today?
Yeah, of course. So obviously I wanted to be here. I'm so excited to have a chat with you. And definitely I'm not a financial advisor, so don't just go ahead and make any bad financial choices based on this, but definitely go check out a team and have the right people to support you with whatever decisions you choose to make. But of course, the concepts are all real here.
Absolutely. Now, Gia, I'm really excited. My first daughter is only 10 years old, and I can't even get her to eat breakfast, even if it's going to help her in her own life. But you traded a paintbrush for a vanilla cupcake. What was happening on that particular day?
Yeah, so basically, my dad, he has a property portfolio, and for one of his properties, he wanted to do a DIY renovation. And obviously, in the interest of him, and we went ahead and saw his property, which was in like regional Australia. So we went and drove there to see, and he made it a bit of a game. So he was like, if you complete three simple tasks, then I'll give you a small treat. And that was the vanilla cupcake. And obviously, I was 8 years old, so obviously the cupcake mattered a lot. So I had to do what he told me to do for that cupcake. So he handed me a paintbrush, and that was actually to paint a door. So that was the first task that I had to do. The other task was to like watch them tear down a tree, and then I can't remember the third one. But the first one was painting the door. And at first, it didn't feel like anything important, but looking back now, it was kind of my first um like lesson in knowing that you need to put in effort to get a reward in the end. And it's also what my earliest lesson and like memory about property investments was. So I always like to think back to that moment as like what started my journey.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's quite fascinating that having to paint that door for that investment property then led to the path that you're on right now. But I would have thought, as an 8-year old, painting comes like one of those things that any kid would want to do, just arts and craft and things of that nature. Did you actually imagine that this sweet deal would actually then lead you into the world of property investment?
Definitely not. I don't think I was even thinking about property investing. It was just, like the fun of it, because it wasn't even like a normal paintbrush. It was one of like those paint rollers. So it was like really interesting. I'd never used one of those before. So, and it was an actual door that was going to be in an actual house. So I was really interested to do whatever that my dad asked me to do.
Absolutely. And just out of curiosity, what's the sort of relationship that you have with dad? Because some kids, have this relationship where it's my dad and that's it. But if you are, doing stuff with your dad, what was it like growing up?
Yeah, so basically after then, and maybe beforehand, I don't really know, but he was teaching me a lot about property investing. So there'd be like the occasional conversations about like financial literacy or business. And it was actually in 2020, so when I was in year seven, that he founded the family business, Get Rare Properties. And I became involved in that as well. So it's like an interesting relationship I have with my dad, not just, like love and like the family side of it, but also he's taught me a lot of valuable things. And I really love that about him.
Fantastic. And now, obviously, you're in year 12, you're balancing school, there's netball, lifeguarding, you've written a book, 2 hours of driving that you were telling me about. I just want to know, how do your classmates react when they find out that you're now this famous person, Amazon bestseller, you're showing up on podcasts, and you're doing all these amazing things?
Yeah, so I think at first I didn't tell a lot of people about the book. It was more of a thing that I like showed it to them at the end because I had my, doubtfulness and like I wasn't too um like prepared to like share things with other people without knowing that it's going to be something that I'm proud of first. Because it was quite a long journey, so I didn't tell people till the end. And a lot of people were really shocked because I go to a selective school in New South Wales, so I'm also quite focused on academics. And they were like, wow, you wrote a book while also keeping up with your academics. So it was a lot of shock and surprise from people, but then a lot of people supported me as well. And maybe they might have not gotten what I was trying to do with the book at first, but seeing how much effort I was putting into it and like seeing what messages I was trying to share with the world, a lot of people caught on and supported me a lot.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. I haven't even written a book and I'm on the path to write one. So I can only imagine what it's like having to balance all of those things, and you actually manage to do it and things of that nature. But I also have a question. When you're among some other kids who only just want to play on Roblox, or they want to play video games, or they have no clue anything about financial education, what sort of stuff do you talk to them about?
I mean, I'm still quite involved because I like play sports and stuff, and with school, I do have regular conversations, but I guess it was also because in COVID is when my parents started the business, and I wasn't too much into like TV shows. Or, like I obviously did watch movies and stuff, but during that time, I was helping my parents with the website or helping like pick the business logo or the business name. So there was a lot of things that were happening, and I guess it's just in my nature that there's more to me.
Absolutely. So your book, Class Clown to Wealth Wizard, is it really aims to demystify the property investing for young Australians. Um, what inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, so I'm just going to provide some context here. So my family business, it's Get Rare Properties. It's basically educates Aussies about how to do strategic property investing. So learning about the portfolio investments and how to build that into something more and eventually lead to financial freedom. So I was involved since year seven, so I'm in year 12 now. So over time, I was learning a lot of things from my parents, because it's a COVID business, it's all work from home. So I was learning a lot just by overhearing the conversations that they had with clients. So I was learning a lot of things that my friends weren't even aware of. I realized that, the books that I was learning, I mean, the books that I was reading and the conversations that I was learning, it was something that a lot of my friends didn't even think about. I saw that a lot of people were focusing on just the academics, getting the good ATAR to get into a good uni for a good job. But for me, it was more about, how can I create those streams of income? How can I do a bit more with my life, and how can I start earlier so I can get my financial freedom earlier as well?
Fantastic. And obviously with the writing of the book and you coming up with this idea, your parents have been supportive. You also have your own entrepreneurial ventures, right?
Yeah. So I have gift hampers for you, which is with my sister. And basically, it was my parents were sending, I'm sorry, my parents were sending hampers to their clients after they bought a property. So it was more like, how can I do something fun as well? So I started creating hampers with my sister to help them, like support them as well. But then, so we started a business based on that. And it was more about how can we help others to show love for other people. So also the good thing about the business is what I wanted to get out of it was learning more about how to run a business. Because I know in the future I want to run some sort of business on a big scale as well. But it was more about using gift hampers for you to learn about the accounting or the marketing, like websites. I was like learning all of that through the business, which is what my main goal is with it is.
Absolutely. Good on you guys. Now you mentioned your sister. How many other siblings have you got?
Yeah, so I only have one sister. She's in year eight and she's turning 13 this year.
Wow. So you guys are already entrepreneurs before you've even, hit adulthood, and things like that. What's her attitude towards business? Does she like it, or is it something she
Yeah,
just
so it's a bit, yeah, so she's been trying to get into it as well. She helps with the making the hampers and the boxes because, that's the fun part about it. And then she's also wanting to, be more involved with the business.
absolutely. Maybe has it become easier to set up businesses, especially on social media? Because I find that a lot of people find it scary to, put yourself out there, facing the fear of maybe public judgment, and it's quite a challenging thing for a lot of people. How are you coming across this yourself?
Yeah, so obviously I was quite nervous. I don't really go on camera that much. Obviously now I do, but at the start I was not confident that much at all. So even just creating an Instagram account for my business and for my book, that was quite nerve-wracking in the first place. But I think what was more important was just taking that first step and then building the momentum from there rather than just, you know, being too scared to do it at all and not seeing what type of scale that can come from it.
Absolutely. And obviously, your parents are doing that on the side, and you guys are also helping them on the side. What sort of conversations do you have at the dinner table?
Yeah, so the dinner table is, quite interesting. Is sometimes it's about, what's happened at school. Sometimes it's about, you know, my dad, whenever he gets a new win in business, so he would share that about it. Or he's always like reading books and audibles, so he tells us what he's learned through that, or we're watching a movie.
Absolutely. Now, you did mention your dad has a few wins within the business. Can you maybe share a memorable experience from maybe the time that you've been involved with Get Rare Properties that actually reinforce your passion that if I educate others, this will be, educate others on smart property investment. This will be something worth your while.
Yeah. So my role in the business is more about, well, right now it's about the website. So I help manage the website on a daily basis. But when I started out, we were invited to the Australian Property Expos. So that was happening across Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, I think Gold Coast as well. And my dad was a keynote speaker there. So we needed some marketing materials, and I love designing. I'm like a perfectionist when it comes to it. So I was helping to, design all the marketing materials for the event. And when, with my parents were mainly the ones who were talking to the visitors who came to the exhibition, but I also stepped in a bit to, teach others. And obviously, I saw that they were like, adults and they didn't know the stuff that I was trying to tell them, or they didn't understand it. And obviously, not everyone gets this information or this knowledge, but it was that like moment where I realized that I have something that I could share with the world, and it needs to come from like not an intimidating space. Like a lot of the books that I've, seen about property investing, they're quite intimidating with like really hard words and not that much for beginners. But I guess my book, it's more about putting it into a storytelling kind of version, so then it's easier for someone to understand.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but not a lot of people go past the first property in Australia, if at
Yeah.
all they get into the property ladder. All right. And these are adults that are already in well to do jobs, and people actually respect them in those jobs because they are seniors in that sort of role. And some people might argue that property investment, there's no space for teenagers in it. They might argue that it's too complex for teenagers. How do you then simplify these concepts and make sense of them, and also making it accessible to either your peers and the people that would eventually learn from you and your book?
Yeah. So I think the hardest part is understanding why property investing is important. Because once you understand that, you can, take action to make it actually happen. But if you don't understand the value of it in the first place, then you wouldn't be putting in your resources and spending your money on just another property investment if you don't know the value. So I guess what I try to do in my book is teach people like what the importance is of that extra stream of income is, or why it's important to have that vision in place so you know what you're actually working towards, rather than just working in that rat race over and over again until, you have to retire and you realize you don't have enough to retire. So you're back in the rat race and you keep working. But yeah, so I guess my book, I've put it into like a storytelling way, as I mentioned before. And it's So if I could provide some context here, the main character is Sam, and he used to be the class clown. And after 20 years, he was at his high school reunion and he was telling his friends who, didn't have that good outlook of him because, they didn't think he'd succeed in life. But they saw him and he was being a lot more wealthier than others. You could see it in his appearance. So everyone was curious as to how he did it. So the books revolved around like the discussions that took place at that high school reunion and how Sam was teaching his friends who used to be his classmates, but now they're at a different level because he's invested in properties and the others haven't.
No, no, Gia, I used to be a class clown in my day. You know, if I don't know if they do this in Australia, but whenever the teacher goes out of the class, he or she assigns a class monitor to look after the class so that nobody's making noise. And my name will always be top of the list for those that were making a lot of noise in the class. What are my chances of me being a wealth wizard?
There's chances for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're the class clown or even if you're the smartest person in the class, you can definitely achieve financial freedom, and property investing is one of the ways to do it.
Absolutely. Now, I know because you're a bestseller on Amazon, your book has received positive feedback, for making property investing approachable. Can you maybe share a story from a reader or somebody that has worked with the principles in the book that actually resonated with you?
Yeah, so I don't have a specific story, so to speak, but I have seen it myself as well. Like the law of attraction, it's played a big role. So if I could give some context again, in year six, we have the selective test to get into our high school. And I wasn't too smart in year six, but I wanted to get into a school near the beach. And the only way I could do that, well, one of the ways I could do that, the easiest way to do it, was to pass the exam and get listed at Manly Selective Campus. And so I was working a lot and, studying. I even woke up at like 4 a.m. on some days just to get ahead and study more and be prepared for the exam. And so obviously, there was lots of moments of doubt and whether I actually wanted to do this or not. Did I want to put in the effort? But then the law of attraction is basically when you visualize something so much that the opportunity comes to you with the effort and action that you take as well. So then the law of attraction, I guess, took place in that moment, in that scenario. And I didn't actually make it into the school at first. I got waitlisted. But then I think I was like 30th on the list. I'm not too sure. But after a while, I got to know that I was accepted into the school. So I like to think that it's because of law of attraction that I was able to do that. And then, of course, having the vision of, going to school and then, staying at the beach afterwards. I've always wanted to live near the beach, and now I can because of that decision.
Absolutely. And congratulations. I mean, you're already designing your life, in ways that so many adults will only discover later on in life. So hold on to that. Now, um, in your opinion, why is it crucial for people to start early, especially when it comes to financial independence or to start thinking in that sort of way? And how can people start this journey? Because yes, you might say law of attraction, but I don't think a lot of people have had that foundational understanding that there is such a thing as the universe, or laws of the universe and things of that nature. But how can people get started?
Yeah, so you mentioned like why is it important to start early? And especially with financial literacy, but also everything else as well. There's one thing, I'm sure you've heard about it, compounding. It's where even the small steps, once you take enough effort okay, one example. So say you plant a tree, you plant a seed into the ground and you're watering it every day. You have to, at 5 o'clock, you have an alarm and you're making sure that you're always there watering the plant. And then you're not going to see much, progress after a while. You're not going to see a single thing. You're just watering some dirt, essentially. But then after a while, you see that sapling, and then you'll see the leaves come out. Then soon it'll be a tree, and soon you're getting fruits. So that's what compounding is. So even the small actions that take place after that momentum that you build and building it up over time, it becomes something really important. So even if you don't see the results right now, like even for me, I don't have financial freedom right now, but I'm taking the actions to get that started. Because the earlier I start, the more massive and bigger and quicker I can get those rewards in the end.
Absolutely. I love that a lot because I think it was Albert Einstein that mentioned that compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. And
Mhm.
the best part about compounding is those that know of it, they earn it. And those that don't know about it, they pay it because so many people will get credit cards and things like that. And then the bank is using that compound interest to charge them more interest on interest and interest, but they're paying
Yeah.
it. But if you know about it, you actually earn it. Now, I like how you've also made it approachable to so many people by the analogy of planting a tree. Everybody would understand planting a tree. And
Yeah.
yeah, it just really makes it easy there. But as a young person, especially in Australia, I could only understand, even starting this podcast, I wanted you to make a disclaimer that, being at the age that you are, you still are in your own right to make these statements that you are making. But the banks might look at it a whole lot different. The buyers advocates, the real estate, they might look at it a whole lot different. Like maybe you could have a bank account, but I don't think you can participate yet in any property transactions without things like that. What sort of challenges have you faced as a young entrepreneur, especially in the property space?
Yeah, so obviously I can't buy a property yet, but when I turn 18, I've been saving up and continue to save up. So I will be trying to buy my property at 18. But yeah, I have faced like a few challenges at the start. Probably the age bias was a massive factor. I think a lot of people are coming at such a young age. People didn't realize like maybe what I'm saying is wrong, but I've seen the effects it's had on other people and then also my parents as well, what type of life they're living. So because they're running their own business, we have a property portfolio, and that's given us the freedom to go traveling. So we go on like international trips overseas like almost every year. So I can see those, habits that are coming from, having those extra streams of income. And it's made me realize that I need to share this as well. So I guess having the age, a lot of people don't realize that like what I'm saying is right, and they do need to like follow that advice that I'm trying to share, especially like if I'm trying to expose more people to what I'm saying. So yeah. And then I guess the second problem that I have, like challenge that I face, is probably the doubt and overthinking. But of course, it's comes from a I don't know where I'm trying to go, but I guess having the support network around you is what helps overcome that. Having people to who understand what your mission is, what you're trying to do, and they're going to be the ones who support you and motivate you to keep moving forward because they know what you're doing is right and you need to share it with more people.
Absolutely. But yeah, pretty sure, I mean, at school, there must be a lot of classes on finance, accounting, mathematics, English, how to run your business and all of those things. I mean, why would anybody want to listen to you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this even I take, economics and business studies at school, but what I've realized is it's a lot of like theory-based stuff or understanding how the world works rather than just knowing how can you do it for yourself and how can you make it happen for yourself. rather than, oh, how does like Apple, make money? How does Apple like utilize, whatever it is they do? But, it's a lot about the big words and the theory behind the stuff that happens, not rather how successful people have actually done it and how we can do it as well by ourselves.
I like that answer. You know why? Because it's not there. And you especially, I'm going to say this with utmost love and respect. Even the teachers themselves are probably not as financially literate as you would think, because you would have come across some of these studies in your school. But I don't know, maybe you have you?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't
Have
hear.
you come across any of these subjects in your day-to-day school work or coursework?
Well, I haven't learned anything about how to make a business yourself, like how to actually start and what the tips and tricks are, what's the theory behind actually starting. But it's been a lot about, what other people have done. And, in business studies specifically, we learn a lot about like large scale businesses rather than just startups and how we can do it ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people then become hesitant, because the knowledge that they have is for multinational global companies like Coca-Cola, because those are the case studies that you're given in marketing school. And you start
Yeah.
thinking to yourself, I only have two clients in my business. So it's one
Yeah.
of those things. So how do you how do you see or envision the future of financial literacy education in Australia? Do you think something needs to be done, or is it enough what's already in the marketplace?
I think what's in the marketplace is more for those who seek it themselves rather than it becoming something that's available to everyone. So obviously, I would love to see that everyone is getting financial literacy or at least getting exposed to those concepts. For me, my parents were the ones who put that knowledge and experience into my hands. But I'm sure a lot of my friends and a lot of teenagers, young adults, they don't know this kind of knowledge unless they've heard about it and they're curious to learn themselves. But just a regular person might not know this kind of stuff. So I want it to be something that's taught more, globally and something that's more accessible and something that can make someone feel like, yes, I can do this myself. And it's actually possible for me to make the right choices and not just having to be stuck in a job that I have to do just for the money. Like the thing about financial freedom is that you can get a lot of opportunities from it. It's not just the finances. And I guess as well, when we think of financial freedom, it's like you just stay at home and you do nothing because you don't need the money anymore. But financial freedom also means being able to do what you love and being able to choose whatever career path you want rather than just doing it for the money. Like for my friends, I've seen that they want to get the best ATAR just so then they can get into like medicine or law because it pays well. But if they're not doing what they actually love and what they want to do, then what is the point?
Absolutely. And for our listeners that are maybe considering property investment, but obviously feeling hesitant, they don't have the confidence that you might have, or like you did say, that your environment and your support network really, really helps. What are maybe some of the practical steps that you would recommend for them to get started?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is to understand your vision. What do you actually want? For some, it might be traveling, starting a business, learning a passion, learning an instrument, doing painting, artworks, pretty much anything. But figuring out why you want to make the choices and having that motivation behind what you want to do. And then with that vision, you come up with steps with that big goal, you break it down into smaller goals and then achieve that slowly and surely. But another thing that a common misconception would be that you don't know, like you don't know it all. And of course, no one knows everything. You have to learn from people who have already done it before. and then getting that right support network as well. So whether that's like financial advisors or buyers agents or accountants to help you understand what's possible for you and supporting you to make those goals come true.
Absolutely. Now, Jia, this is a question which I've always wanted to ask somebody like yourself. When you were growing up, what did you want to be when you grew up?
This is a really good question because I haven't really imagined too much about what, like when I was younger, I don't think I thought about it too much. But what I did know is that I wanted a big house and near the beach. That was like my big vision, even in like year 7. That's what I imagined when I thought about the future. I didn't really have a dream job, so to speak, but I knew I wanted like a happy family and a big house and near the beach. So yeah.
Absolutely. And are we working towards that now?
Yes, we definitely are. I think, with the stuff that I'm learning, it's going to make it possible. And I'm hoping to make it possible with the efforts that I put in place.
Fantastic. Can't wait to celebrate your successes. And if people are interested in maybe learning more about your book and things of that nature, where can they go on the internet?
Yeah, so I have my own website that I designed and created, which is classclown.towealthwizard.com. And then I also post a lot on social media. So, quick tips and insights and, news and like just lessons that you could learn quickly while you're scrolling on social media. So I'm on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. So I post regularly on all the accounts and yeah, just search up my name or so on all the accounts I'm under the name Jia Rastogi, and then on Instagram I'm under the name Class Clown to Wealth Wizard.
Absolutely. I'll definitely make sure that those links are in the show notes and people can respectfully learn from you and things of that nature. Now, I can thank you for the time and lessons that you've left us with today on the Online Prosperity Show. I don't know. Is there anything that I should have asked you today that I didn't ask you?
Probably not. I feel like you've covered quite a wide range of topics, sorry. But yeah, if I just had to give one advice to the readers, to the audience, not the readers, it's probably don't overthink it. Probably just start because once you start making those actions, then you can build it up with momentum. I think the hardest step is just taking that first step. But after the first step, it gets a lot easier. And especially with your support network and learning along the way, you'll definitely get there in the end.
I
Thank
think the
you.
first step is to buy a book. Just buy that book, and that would be at least something that is that first step. So, thank you so much for joining us on this enlightening episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I think we've journeyed with Jia from her early days as a playful kid that only wanted cupcakes, but now she's literally giving them as gifts in her hampers there. That's a lot of impressive achievements, and congratulations on your path of being a wealth wizard. And for those that are watching right now, you can tell that her story exemplifies how curiosity, determination, and a dash of humor can actually lead to financial empowerment. And as Jia says, just start. You know what I mean? No matter where you are, no matter who you are, it's never too late. It's never too early. As we have just noticed, just start. And if Gia's insights have inspired you, consider sharing this episode with somebody who could actually benefit from her journey. It could be young and old, anyone who's looking to get into the property market, just so they too can have a happier existence. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show for more engaging and transformative content like this. Until next time, bye for now.